Animals have biological rhythms. They have rhythms that essentially, they have cycles that are annual cycles, daily cycles. Our bodies essentially change throughout the day, throughout the months, throughout the years. And there are some notable annual cycles. There are geese that migrate, there are grizzly bears that hibernate during the winter. Human beings also experience these annual cycles, essentially changes that are going on in our body throughout the year. As an example of this, there's some people suffer from what is called seasonal affective disorder. It's a mood disorder that people experience during the dark winter months. There are basically, during the winter months, there's less sunlight, tends to be darker. So it seems that the reduced exposure to sunlight may have something to do with this. But so people suffer from this. So this is particularly a problem if you think of people who live in Alaska, where there are periods of the year where there's very little or no sunlight, and they have to go through, and they have they have to go through this basically this period, this symptoms of like depression during that extended period of time. People also go through monthly cycles. Women go through a menstrual cycle lasting around 28 days. Men also have cycles that relate to the release of testosterone during the month, but men don't notice it as clearly as women do, as far as the way those cycles work. Men and women also have 24-hour cycles. During their different times, we're more alert than other times, more aroused than other times. Body temperature changes, hormonal changes throughout the day, and these 24-hour cycles, they're called circadian rhythms, and it's monitored by a part of the brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. During sleep, we have these 90-minute cycles. We don't just lay our head down and go to sleep and then wake up in the morning. When we sleep, we go through various stages of sleep in about 90-minute cycles. So the circadian rhythm is this 24-hour sleep-wake cycle controlled by that suprachiasmatic nucleus, as I said before. There are differences. There are genetic differences. Some different people have different circadian rhythms. There are people who are more morning people and night people. So the people who are morning people, they're more alert and awake in the morning hours. The evening people, they're more alert and awake in the evening hours. There are also people who just tend to need more sleep than others. There are people who need like 12 to 14 hours of sleep every night. And there are others who can get by pretty well on 3 or 4 hours of sleep. And for them, that seems to be their normal need for sleep. That's the difference between people who are sleep deprived, people who want to sleep more but can't because their life is too hectic. But people who just need less sleep, there are differences. Sunlight is important when it comes to sleep. Low sunlight triggers the production of melatonin, which is a hormone that causes us to feel drowsy. And so basically, if you are in bright sunlight, it inhibits the release of melatonin. And if you're in darkness, the melatonin is released, you start feeling more drowsy. This may also be related to what's happening with seasonal affective disorder. Less sunlight means more melatonin is released. Maybe the constant sense of drowsiness may be related to what's going on. So let's talk about sleep. Here is my daughters Molly and Mandy, apparently in pretty deep sleep. So why is it that we sleep? One theory of sleep has to do with that our body is repairing ourselves, both our brains and our bodies, during the period of sleep, so that during that time, so damaged parts of our body are being repaired, cellular damage and whatnot. Another theory of sleep is based on the theory of evolution. We're not nocturnal creatures. At night, we cannot see very well. So there's not much point for us to be out looking for food when it is dark out. Better for us to be conserving our energy and hunt during the daytime when we can see better. Furthermore, because we can't see at night, we are also have the possibility of getting harmed by predators or just hurting ourselves because we can't see. So finding a quiet place, hidden away where we can sleep keeps us safe. And so sleeping is an adaptation perhaps that helps us survive. Growth and development is another theory. The idea is that during sleep, it's been shown that the pituitary gland releases growth hormone, and that obviously stimulates physical growth. So when you're younger, you need the growth hormone to help us grow, and older people, they don't need as much of it because they're fully grown, and they release less of this hormone. They also sleep less as they get older, and it's true that as we get older, we sleep less. And finally, another theory of sleep has to do with our memory, that it rebuilds our memories. Remember that we talked about brain plasticity, how our brain, to recover from injury, builds new neural connections. Well, this is what's happening with our, this is what's happening during sleep, building these new neural connections helps us rebuild our memories. So the expression, if you have to make an important decision, why don't you sleep on it? There may be some truth to that, in that it helps, coalesce the memories that you've had. It helps us put everything together, and so helping us build our memory, build our brain to help our brains deal with information better is something that may be happening something that happens during when we sleep. Of course, there are people like this young lady over here who suffers from sleep deprivation. Most of us, if we would like to, would sleep 8 to 9 hours, but again, there are individual differences there. But for people who suffer from sleep deprivation, again, their life is too hectic, or maybe they have insomnia, their immune system is low, so they're more likely to get sick. They have a less of ability to concentrate. Remember, we have to focus our attention, selective attention, when we're higher levels of consciousness. Well, if you are sleep deprived, your mind may drift. You may not be able to concentrate as fully. Higher incidence of accidents, car accidents. People get car accidents, get killed when they fall asleep at the wheel. We're less productive when we're sleep deprived, so that's an important thing to think about. We want to be able to be productive in society, get things done. And of course, our decision making is also reduced when we are sleep deprived. So, better to sleep on it, help our memories rebuild, make better decisions. As I said before, you put your head down to go to sleep. You go through various cycles of sleep. So this 90-minute cycle of sleep, you go through these different stages. 4 stages of sleep, and then there's a 5th stage called REM sleep, which we'll talk about in a bit. When you're awake and alert, the electrical activity of your brain is displayed in waves, beta waves here, which are these low amplitude, fast, irregular beta waves. So these, high frequency waves, and 15 to 30 cycles per second. So this is the electrical activity of our brain when we are awake and alert. This is what it looks like, if measured. When we are more relaxed, the amplitude of the waves gets a little bit larger, and they get slower waves called alpha waves, 9 to 14 cycles per second. So this is what our brainwave activity looks like when we're awake, but we are relaxed. This would be before we fall asleep. Now we're getting into the early stages, stage 1 and stage 2 sleep. The amplitude waves are getting higher, slower waves sleep, and they're called theta waves, 5 to 8 cycles per second. When you're daydreaming, you also tend to be showing theta wave activity. In stage 2 sleep, you also display these sleep spindles, which are these bursts of electrical activity that occur during stage 2 sleep. Stage 3 and 4 sleep, these are the deep sleep stages. And brain activity is really slowing down. These are really high amplitude, slow delta waves, 1.5 to 4 cycles per second. When you're in stage 4 sleep, it's the majority of your brainwave activity is in delta waves. So you can see the difference there in the way the wave patterns look like. Now, after you go into stage 4 sleep, you go back into the earlier stages of sleep. Start moving backwards towards stage 1. You would also fall into a period of sleep called REM sleep, which is similar in terms of the brainwave activity to when you are awake and alert. Your beta waves, 15 to 40 cycles per second. And REM sleep, REM stands for rapid eye movement. And that's obviously that's what's happening when you're in REM sleep, is that these eyes are moving, your eyes are closed, but you got these eye movements below your closed eyelids. Also, you are having your most vivid dreams during REM sleep. Another interesting aspect of REM sleep is that your body is essentially paralyzed when you are in REM sleep. Essentially you can't move your muscles. You are lying like a log, essentially sleeping. So you can't move around typically when you are in REM sleep, which is probably good if you're having these vivid dreams. So here might be an example of a typical night sleep. You start out awake, you go work your way down towards stage 4 sleep, maybe work your way back up again. Here you are in REM sleep, work your way down to stage 4 sleep again, back to REM sleep, back to stage 4 sleep, back to REM sleep. Now you're down to stage 3 sleep, then you wake up, then you go back to sleep again, back to REM sleep, and you wake up, you start to wake up again. So again, you go back and forth into different stages, several periods of the night where you're in REM sleep. What it might look like. Various areas of the brain are important in controlling sleep. The reticular formation is involved in sleep and arousal. The various neurotransmitters, serotonin, norepinephrine, and acetylcholine. During the various sleep stages, these levels of these neurotransmitters vary across the different sleep stages. As we get older, we tend to sleep less. You spend the majority of your time awake when you're older, the majority of the time asleep when you're very young. Newborns spend about half the time asleep in REM sleep, but as we get older, the proportion of the time we spend in REM sleep gets less.